Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Today, I am back in this series of videos, top 10 mass market, top 10 tarot indie decks. And these are decks, of course, that are in my library that I have been using for some time. Very few new ones, actually, so there won't be too many surprises here. I will and have numbered it down to a top 10. And it just might change actually as I'm doing this. Also, over to my side here, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decks that didn't quite make the cut. And it's really hard. I have a lot of tarot decks in my library. I have approximately 100 indie and 100 mass market tarot only. And so it's a lot to filter through. But I'm going to share with you some true favorites, and I am going to mention the few that are over here that didn't make the cut. So I want to welcome everybody, and I really appreciate you being here. Yes, it is a Saturday, and I am on because I wanted to complete this series. I'll be back in a little bit doing top 10 Lenormand mass market, and yes, there will be a top 10 Lenormand indie as well too. And eventually I'm hoping to pare it down and come up with my top 10. It's gonna be in stages. So I'm gonna probably do some top 3 or top 5 videos as well. Okay. So thanks for joining me. Welcome to all of you. I see we have at the top of the hour, Sharon was here. So nice to have you here. Saskia. Hello, Andrew. And Mira, welcome to you. Merlin's daughter is Mira, and Dee. Hello, sweet souls everywhere. I love that greeting. Thank you so much. Saskia, good evening to you from Corfu, and a rainy day in Los Angeles from Mary Beth. Okay. It's really nice. You know, this kind of personalizes it. I have a cloudy day on the west coast of British Columbia where I am. Dee Dee, did I say hello to you? Welcome. Okay. And as you are coming in, I will do my best to greet you, and please join in the conversation. All right, so I will briefly mention the ones that are over here on the side. And this one, unfortunately, you cannot find except for an exorbitant price. This is a deck I will not be ever giving away. And fortunately, this is Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh. And fortunately, Anatolian is coming up with a Tarot of Echoes in the not too distant future, which I want to say will not replace Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh, but at least you will have a colored tarot deck of Anatolian's artwork. This is a deck that was created by Avalon Cameron, and as far as I know, it will not be reprinted. Bone Stone is the name of the deck, and Earth Flesh is the name of the very excellent guidebook that accompanies it. So this is one that there are so many amazing things in this deck that I love. I love the Ace and the 10 of Cups combination, and you've all seen this deck on my channel before. I have found some really powerful stories that I have connected with, and if I don't necessarily connect with Avalon's background stories, I've always found a way to find my own story into this deck. The only thing that really kind of irks me with this deck is the 5 of Wands card to me, which feels like a stolen card from Tarot of the Hidden Realm. But that's just my own personal beef. I really do love art decks, and I have a few in my library. I have Majestic Earth. I have this beautiful deck by Melissa Watherstone, and I don't really feel like these are essential to this is Redon artwork. And Well, this is a very, very powerful deck. It did not make the top 10, but again, it's not one that I would ever give away or release. The other one is the Beautiful Rebellion Tarot. Now, I do not have the Tarot of Delphi. Also, I'm very curious. Miss Thea, who is Garden Goddess Tarot, has created a very large, chunky Hellenic oracle that is available through, I believe, Printer Studio or something like that, that uses a lot of these same images. And I guess this artwork, a lot of it is in the public domain. This is a deck by Robin Cole, and this is the first edition. I know there was a second Kickstarter and a second edition, but it also reads really beautifully. And um, sometimes I am just in the mood for an art deck, and these are two that are never very far down on the pile. Okay. In my Facebook group, the last oracle deck that I was using for inspiration for our Wednesday night chats and I've used all of them, the Red Seeds Oracles 1, 2, and 3. And on those evenings, I was doing readings with the Red Seeds Tarot. And I definitely think this is a deck that is worth mentioning. It's certainly not a deck for everybody, but I have been wanting to, I would love to have I don't have the older version of the Mythic Tarot. I do not have a Hellenic tarot, so to speak, um, with with Greek mythology. And this deck is one as close as I get to it. This deck follows the initiation that happened annually on the full moon in September. And it follows the journey. Sorry, my voice is not great today. Follows the journey of the Mistai. The Mistai were the initiates that came from pretty much all walks of life. I believe that anybody could be initiated into these mysteries as long as they hadn't committed murder. And so in this particular tarot deck, you learn a lot about this sacred ritual and the mysteries. The numbers and the symbols are in Greek. The the suit of swords is bees, which is really kind of beautiful for me. The sound, the listening to the energy of the bees is how I connect with that particular deck. Torches is fire. There is a lot of repetition in the telling of the tales, so you get to know the story quite quickly. And then I matched this with the Red Seeds Oracles, which so this tells the story of Persephone and Demeter and their journey. And I used the Red Seeds Oracles to supplement these readings. And they were really, really good readings. I got very, very comfortable in reading this tarot after doing it working with it every week for many months. And so I'm really glad that I have this deck, and I know the kind of occasion where I will pull it out and work with it. These are large cards, quite difficult to shuffle, overhand only. So I'll just show you the size of the deck in comparison to okay, so this is the Centennial. That's a Centennial. Oh, let's go this way. Right, so it's a large mitful, not the easiest, but again, a deck that I will be holding onto forever. I am a bit of an Alice nerd, and some time back, I did I did 2 videos, I believe, maybe more, on the Alice using the Alice tarots and talking about the Alice in Wonderland story as well as the Journey Through the Looking Glass, and I can't remember if I did it with Dame Darcy's deck or I did it with this one. But I love the allegories in the Alice story, and if you love words and you have a lean towards the left brain, I think that Alice decks can be illuminating. It's not just about a children's story. There is a I don't know, there's a real intrigue here, and I've said many times, one of my favorite cards, and I believe it's done in at least 2 of the Atlas decks, is this is the Bone Studios one. I also have the Dame Darcy. I do not have the mass market one. There's 2 mass market ones as well too, at least. Um, the idea of Alice as the Page of Swords slaying the Jabberwocky. And this was a revolutionary um, insight into what it meant to slay the Jabberwocky. If it hadn't been for the tarot, I never would have thought what that meant. And I have done a lot of public speaking over the years, various conferences and so forth. And it is, to say the least, an intimidating experience, depending on how well you know the audience. And that metaphor of the Jabberwocky, if you don't know, is a poem of almost entirely made up words by the creator of the book. And it is full of rhythm and curiously creative words. And it is really fun. It's a fun poem to memorize and to recite, but you really have to get your mind around what it possibly means. And anyway, so when I was looking at those Page of Swords cards and Alice slaying the Jabberwocky, I thought, yes, that's what this is. This is about public speaking and standing up and making a presentation and getting, being inspired by your words and all that you have to say. And it was a great metaphor. So yeah, really love the Alice deck. And the other one I'm going to share with you, I'm going to leave one because I don't think um, it's not in this category. Um, is the Tildwick, and this one is a second edition. I have yet to do a deep dive with it, but it is one I'm so glad that I got my hands on. And to have it out here in the daylight is amazing. It's definitely a daytime deck because there are lots of mysterious corners in this deck, scenes of inside and outside. And I am so intrigued with the metaphor of house, for a metaphor for um, our bodies, our minds, our lives. And eventually I will be doing some sort of a deep dive, a public deep dive into this deck. It shuffles incredibly. I'm so intrigued with this deck. So it's not going anywhere anytime. So that's it. Those are the run. I have one more runner up that I'm going to share with you because I mentioned it yesterday. All right. And so this is going to be number 11. And this is the Lumina Tarot by Lauren Aletta. I don't have a box handy. The publishing company is Inner Hue. I'm not sure if this is available in any language right now. Lauren's decks seem to be moving to possibly becoming mass market. I know there was a French version of the Oracle available, and so I'm sharing this with you because if you like it, I would keep an eye on it. There are so many intriguing cards in this deck. I love the Marseille-esque take on, well, even the Thoth Tarot uses this, right? The Two of Pentacles. And the card that I mentioned yesterday was my favorite all-time Six of Swords is in this deck. And the reason this deck doesn't come out a lot is because of the emaciated women in this deck. There are so many clever things that she shares here. And I think that the first few years that I worked with this deck, I missed so much. I see I'm not the only one who's a Jabberwocky fan. Sorry, I got lost in the chat there. The runes that are up on the top. And just before I came on, I just, and if I mispronounce, please forgive me. But I don't know if you've ever noticed the runes that are up around here. And I believe this is Algiz. And this is about the control of emotions. During transition periods, changing the course of life and accelerated self-change, it is important not to rush into emotions. And what I want to say about this deck is that there are a lot of mystery symbols and really fun things to work with. I mean, the fact that she's included the Tree of Life, the Infinity symbol, and then we have the Neptune symbol on the Hangman card. It's really, it can take you down some incredible rabbit holes if you connect with the hidden symbols. And I know a lot of people just absolutely love the artwork. I love the sacred geometry. This is a really interesting Four of Wands card. And we see the four crystals representing the wands and then four feathers. And to me, this is a reminder that fire can't exist without air. And I don't recall any particular depth in the guidebook, but the more I look at this deck, the more I am intrigued. Now, there are some things that I haven't figured out. So, for example, in this card, this is the Nine of Cups. It would be amazing if in this particular card, because the Nine of Cups is associated with the, it is the second decan of Pisces. Okay, so kind of towards the end of the year, it would be brilliant if this were a moon and Jupiter. But it's sun and moon, so I don't really get this, and it's one of the cards I haven't figured out. But there are, I think this is definitely a deck that is worthwhile. If you have it and you've put it away and have been off put by it, I think there's a lot of brilliant cards in this deck that are worthwhile pulling it out again. This is an incredible color. Oh my God, the color here is just it's really something. I also love that in the Four of Pentacles, that we have this world card, wheel card, reminisce kind of design. So she's inviting in a conversation here with those cards. This is not a simple Rider-Waite-Smith clone. I think it's definitely a deck worthy of deeper discussion. Okay, so those are the ones that didn't make the top 10. And so now we're going to go into top 10. And I may as well skip right to this one, which does a better job of the planetary associations. And this is Tarot, Journey of the Sacred Bee Tarot by Kelly Burton. I have shared this deck a lot on my channel. I love the colors. I am intrigued with her changes to the Golden Dawn. This is an 8. In this deck, we have 8 for strength and 11 for justice. Um, very powerful images and the ways that she has incorporated the bee, a few humans in the card as well too. Lots of great symbols. We stick to it's a real blend of Rider-Waite, and the Thoth Tarot. Here we see the flowers in the shape of the tree of life, like we do in Pamela Goldman-Smith's artwork in the Ten of Discs. And I think this is a great study deck. I love the way the colors have incorporated the planets in the second decan, and so I'm I'm going to continue to study and explore this deck for sure. There are changes to some of the hermetic titles, and um, if you are a strict hermeticist, some of this won't work for you. But it really is, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. This is one of the cards that made me do it. Also, the whole energy of bees is, there's the Four of Discs in that card, this deck. There are a few cards with absence of color. Um, yeah, it's great. So this is my number 10. This is my number 10. And Kelly Burton is, we should be receiving her, if those of you that backed her new deck is coming out, Keeper of the Sacred Bees. And I will keep you updated on my impressions of that deck. I was not going to back it. And then I forget what happened, and somebody made me do it. And I don't know who. All right. I think we need to congratulate Dee Dee on something. And Dee Dee, I'm sorry I missed something in the chat here. Looks like Dee Dee is working on a deck. Well, I hope that. And yes, this is, I see you're creating a deck for your own use. This is a great, great exercise. I think it really gets us thinking about the sort of system and symbols that are important to us. And so, yes, we would love to see what comes together once you finish your project. All right. Number 9. Number 9. And I keep it in this bag from the creator. This is the Newman. And I believe this is the only queer deck that is out here right now. This particular deck I have used a lot. It has a really interesting take on the energy of the minor suits. The suit of air is called the suit of bells. And there are, oh, that's another favorite. We have there is an extra card in this deck as well too. Here's another bells card. And this is a little bit what I was getting at in the suit of bees in the Red Seeds Tarot. The suit of air is, I think there's a component of sound to this as well too. And there is an increasing volume of sound or different pitches of sound in these cards. And I think it's very clever how Cedar McLeod has captured sound in a two-dimensional object. We see there are a few cards of varying abilities, physical abilities. It's quite something. There's the Fool card. This is the creator of candles. So that would equate to the Queen of Candles. The queens are creators. And I know not everybody resonates with this deck. There also was when I included this in my indie oracles, so Cedar has created an oracle deck called the Thread-Bound Oracle, which is based on books and the library and so forth. And I think this is part of the inspiration for this. This is the 10 of Pentacles. The suit of Pentacles is called tomes, and so the metaphor of book is used quite cleverly. It does paint a very different picture for the suit of Pentacles, but it's really beautiful. And we have this crystal bell. I love this crystal bell for the Ace of Air. Here is what would be the Empress, known as um, the nurturer. So very gender neutral looking folks on many of the cards, and I like that. This is the Lover's card. People appreciate this deck. I find. Yes, the suit of water is Vials. This is the first version of the deck. I don't know if it was. Oh, here's the Nine of Bells card I wanted to show you. This is the Nine of Bells. Kind of brilliant. Are there any cards in this deck that I don't like? I don't know. I don't think so. I've worked with this a lot, found it a great reader for all kinds of people. We have a very phallic Ace of Candles, which we see in lots of decks. Anyway, yeah. So this is one of my top 10 decks. I believe this was number 9, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing these in order or not, but yeah, I would say that it's kind of in an order from bottom to top. All right. Now it gets really complicated. I did not include any Tarot de Marseille in the mass market version, and that's because my favorite Tarot de Marseilles, and I've got 2 in my top 10, are indie decks. This is the Tarot de Rivso, and this particular deck is quite extraordinary, as is the box. It's velvet on the inside. These are larger cards that have borders. And this is a very pretty deck. I want to fan it out for you. And it was sorted for a class. And you can see it's just so pretty. I love, love, love the colors. I do like the oversized cards as well too, and it's on a beautiful cardstock. It shuffles lovely. This is there's a slight finish on the cards, but it feels very, love the paper. And it's a very thick deck, but because the paper is, I think it's not even 300 GSM, so it shuffles beautifully. And I think it's the richness of the colors that I really, really like. I'm going to get to show you at least. There's the Ace of Swords. I am so busy doing many different things right now, and just shuffling through these cards makes me want to take some time off and just read and enjoy my decks. Yeah, I do love teaching. I recently purchased a New Choice Marseille, and a couple of other modern Marseilles, but I have to say that there's just something about this deck that I prefer um, a more traditional Tarot de Marseille. Now, saying that, also in my top 10 is Tarot de Aux Arcs, which is a non-traditional Marseille that, oh, here's all the aces. I have the aces out. I'm showing somebody. That I would never put away, and it's always on my rack. This is my go-to Marseille. I love the colors in this deck, and I've shared this deck a bazillion times. I think Lori LePage really did something beautiful, beautiful with this deck, and I don't know about. I will later on make sure that there are links down below. But this, I've really, really enjoyed reading with this deck. And it also has to do with the colors. And I think that's why the previous deck I showed you, color has energy, color has frequency. And so this is, I pick up on it when I'm reading. Okay. Stephanie, I don't know if I said hello to you, but welcome. Thank you for joining in the conversation today. All right. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. This one may surprise some of you, and I have to tell you why this is here, because you rarely see this on my channel. This is a personal deck. This is a deck that I purchased for my birthday and cracked it open in Maui a few years ago. And I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. I have never seen a mermaid. And these are the backs of the cards. This is Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. But this is a story. It looks a little bit like, I suppose, because there's questions of humanness and connection with folks in the water, merfolk. But for me, this is just my birthday deck. This is my August deck. This is my personal. It's a very personal deck, and so that's why it's here. I never read for this with other people. I did look at the mass market mermaid deck. That was a big no for me. But I do. It's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, easy to read. Wands are there's oars primarily. It's kind of weird to have snow and mermaids, but that's okay. So yeah, so this is a deck that has a very special place in my heart. Very special place. If you ever come to visit me and I'm not home, go to the beach. That's where I will be. Love that comment, Dee Dee. That's funny. That's funny. Okay. So that's Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. Now, from here, I'm not sure which way to go. So this is top five. And I'm going to say that Pagan Otherworlds is definitely top 5 for me. It is, I love these images. And again, this is a deck that I've shared many a time. I find story in these cards. I love the way the minimalist design of the miners. the open spaciousness of the scenery really allows for story. And this is, I would say, this is an imaginary world, and I love to wander in this world. I've used read this deck with lots of different people, and there's um, it has an old world quality to it. I do have an Usi Marseille. I've never shared it on my channel. Yeah, this is, kind of a special deck to me, and it was gifted to me as well too, which makes it extra special. I'm not sure that it's one I would have bought, and I had no idea how important it would be to to me and to how I read. To me, this doesn't even seem like an indie deck. I don't know why. I love this deck from, hi Dia, from the get-go. So this is gonna be number 4. Um, Many of you know I spent many a year in Japan. I read Japanese. I, uh, continue to study the language, and I really don't like the gilding on these cards. I don't like that they're shiny. There's lots of things I don't love about this deck, but for me, this deck reads so well. Um, there are some cards here that for have changed the way that I read tarot. Love the Fool card, the Queen of Cups. Um, I like the use of, silhouette in a few cards. Yes, of course, there's a few cards that, um, are a bit troubling, but for the most part, um and, oddly, this is if somebody is asking quite a bold question, um, they just want the answer now, and they want a really quick answer, this is the deck that I go to, which is bizarre. It at surface level, it might not feel like that, um, and I am intrigued with I would love to interview Stacia Burrington, um, just to learn a little bit more about um, her background. I believe she's half part Japanese. Yeah. So the pages in this deck are really fun. This Eight of Cups card means a lot to me. I'm interested in Andrew's comment. He says that it pairs well with the Spacious Tarot. That's really interesting. I haven't, actually do have it on. That's the one that I decided not to include in this video. Yeah. Um, oh, this one, the Six of Swords, I think is quite an incredible deck. So yeah, I've had this from the first when it first came out, and it's actually I might even have a second edition. So that's not true. Yeah, but if you there are several pip cards here as well too. So some it might not are less illustrated cards. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's been well, it's a deck that I have used well. The number 3 a deck is one that is published by a company called Vega, and it is available on Amazon, but it is not a mass market deck. So I I almost put it in the mass market, but Vega is not a mass market publisher. This is Tarot of the Strange Branches. Hi, Karen. Welcome. Um, and this deck has been a very powerful reader. I haven't put it away since I received it. I used it for a past life reading for one of you not too long ago and got an incredibly poignant reading. And I can't say enough about it. I have looked a little bit at the guidebook. The guidebook, of course, is in French, um, but I found this to be an incredibly intuitive, powerful reader. The chords are changed in this deck. This is a very curious card for me. I have this intrigue with foxglove. We have so much foxglove where I live. And I would, if I had a distiller, I would try to figure out how to distill foxglove and make a medicine because, um, and um, as a Nine of Pentacles, choosing this plant, I don't think I've ever read this page. This is one card that I'm very curious about. Mm. But it's working really well for me, and I feel like the essence of this deck is one that's going to help to understand the emotional underlying cause of the situation, of the question. It's a very emotional deck. Um, it's very raw. The feelings in this deck are very raw. Yeah. So I'm putting this as my number 3 deck. Yeah. My favorite card, I think, is I like the Lover's card. There is a single person in the Lover's card, and I believe that's the one. Oh, the Queen of Swords is very powerful as well, too. There she is. And this is Seven of Swords, and I see this older woman walking away, almost, flipping her fingers sort of thing, and I love that card. There's 2 extra cards, as above, so below. And the court cards, like I said, are changed. So we have a queen and a goddess for the queen and the king. Yeah. I know temperance is a favorite for some people. A very interesting perspective for temperance. Mhm. So many cards I've found deep connections with. That's the Four of Wands. Yeah, it's not coming. And of course, we have a few yoga poses in this deck. So Sadhana loves this deck because I can speak to the energy of the yoga poses. Mhm. Thank you for putting the proper title up there. And I will endeavor to put the links to all of the decks in the description box below after I sign off and before I start the Lenormand video. Okay. Because I wasn't quite sure how this was going to go. I have two more, two more. And this one will be absolutely no surprise. And this particular deck has been a staple in my reading for a long time. I think the aces in this deck are particularly beautiful. My favorite ace and 10 are pentacles. I love that there's this etheric component. Not so crazy about some of the court cards. That's the only thing I don't really love about this deck. Um, the etheric component. So we see incense in the suit of air, in the suit of air. I love that there's a bee, the collective work. Um, the focus that is there. on the Eight of Pentacles. There's these symbols. So the pages all have a little heart symbol, which takes that in quite a different direction. To have pages associated with the heart is a little bit different. It speaks to the innocence. This is a great queen. I really like the Queen of Fire. And one of my favorite Tower cards. This looks a bit like Laura Naletta's deck, Eight of Cups. Fantastic wheel card. One of my favorite Six of Cups cards. Justice is 8 in this deck. Love the simplicity of this Death card. That very fun Four of Wands. So this is the Ace and 10 that really seals this deck for me. And I have contemplated over and over and over. Hi, Jen. Oh, Jen, you have a new channel name. Oh my goodness. Welcome. That is fantastic. So for those of you that know Jen, this formerly was Jen's Science to Soul Tarot, and it had a couple of variations on that. Welcome, Jen. There's something else I wanted to say about this deck. I know what I was saying. I have thought and thought and thought about how, I've always loved this Hermit card, how I could do this in every suit. And there is no deck out there that shows the fulfillment of the ace other than a Marseille deck, in a more artistic and creative way. And I want to emanate this in the other suits. That's part of my mission. If I could figure out how to do that. Yeah, there's the 2. I mean, it's just such a gorgeous suit. Such a gorgeous suit. Okay. Love this Magician card as well, too. All right. So this is, it's a deck that's never very far away from where I am. And I also have the Lily Black. And sometimes I use the Lily Black. It has a different energy, and it is not an exact copy. It has a different feel than the Lily White. There are videos on my channel of Lily White and Lily Black, comparing them and talking about them for sure. Yeah. All right. Now, I think the number 1 is going to be a surprise. I've used it a lot this year, and I have found it to be very honest, direct, sometimes a little bit too direct. And yet, we were talking about this yesterday with the oracles. And the thing is, I don't want, a lot of people when they come to me for meetings are going through really hard times with physical illnesses that they can't shake, earth-shattering life changes, really difficult stuff. And it's my approach is to uncover this. And for those of you that have worked with me for 8 or 9 or 10 sessions, you know that I'm going to push you. I'm going to push you. And I really appreciate those of you that have stuck with me for a series of months to work through your stuff. And we will get there. And I will help you to uncover what's underlying all of that. But I'm never going to do that in a first reading. I want to build a relationship and trust with clients. And I have found that this deck to be one that is surprisingly um, great, surprisingly great. And I want to change the name of this deck. I don't like the name of this deck, and I understand um, why the creator called it what she did. But this is my number one indie deck. I will try to explain why as I go through. So yesterday we were talking about white space. And there is something about white space that is, um, I think it gives the querent space as well too. When a deck is full of color, it, it it takes a while to understand the layers, right? The layers of the color, the layers of the collage. And there is a simplicity to this deck that is very accessible, very accessible. And I mean, this tower card is so brilliant, and we've had a couple discussions about this card, whether there are roots growing out of the person's feet or whether as the person walks, the ground is trembling. And as you know, the tower is it's a really important card. A lot of people like this deck for its I wouldn't even say it's body diversity, it's body reality. And there is when you lay out a 9 card or a 10 card reading on the table, there's this really interesting contrast between daytime and nighttime cards. And so that shows through very, very clearly. I also want to say there's an honesty to this deck, right? So there's a tenderness and there is an honesty. And I do not consider this deck the reason I want to change the name is because, and I don't know what its name is. I really need to come up with a new name for it. I don't connect this to ancestor work or past life work or anything like that. To me, this deck is so much more. Yeah, so much more. It's interesting. Dee doesn't like the color palette, and this is a color palette that I have really. Um, okay, I'm going to share something with you with this card in a second. It's a color palette that I have really come to like, and it is not unlike the color palette of the original Yonasu Yos. The Transient Light Tarot is a similar color palette, and for me, this is my color palette. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I want to talk about this Explorer of Needles. We were having this conversation in Tarot Foundations yesterday. We were talking about not yesterday. Oh my goodness, Tarot Foundations is on Wednesday morning. Um, this shows you what time, me and time. It's because I edited. I edited the class last night, and we were talking about night cards and finding the a variety of ages to associate with the knights. The knights are not all 20 and 30 something souls, right? A knight energy can be um, any gender, any of a variety of genders. A knight can be a variety of ages as well, too, right? There's qualities to knights. And so this particular card reminds me of a photograph of mother, my mother. And we were at a family camp. This is when I was a young girl. And I have this photo of her doing this exact same thing. And I've never seen a photo of her showing her athletic prowess in this way, her determination, her will, her focus, and sheer joy. It just a brilliant photograph of her. I love it. And when I look at this card, I think of my mother, a younger version of my mother, who's no longer with us, but yeah, beautiful. Mhm. And so this may not be a card for everyone. I mean, one deck that many of you recommended was the I think it was called the Self-Love Tarot. That came in and out really quickly. I couldn't work with that deck, but there's something very different about this one that feels nurturing and calm, and a very, again, a surprising reader for me, a surprisingly good reader for me. And I really appreciate its tenderness, um, because sometimes that is needed. Okay. Um, I really also appreciate. Uh, I am quickly reading your comments as you're posting them. And yes, color palettes have moods. They have and we all have different associations with different color palettes as well too. You know that I've got lots of decks that are full of richly saturated colors. I have quite a eclectic taste as far as color palettes go, and different for me, different moods and different occasions may call to a different color palette. I have been on a bit of a low buy year, um, for more than a year, and I continue. My intention is to continue with this low buy theme. I'm trying to be much more selective in decks that I purchase, and if I'm going to purchase a deck, it's got to fill a hole that isn't there, um, or there's got to be something that I want to study. I want to study, but I have to tell you that in preparing for this version of this video and pulling out Lauren Aletta's deck, the Lumina, I was really intrigued with those runes on the Ace of Cups. And it's got me thinking, well, if there are runes on the Ace of Cups, there must be runes in other decks as well too. And should I go back and give this deck a personal deep dive to better understand it? Now, many of you know Kasha, who is Tarot Map. What she did with this video, which is kind of clever, is that she colored. So, for example, here's the Queen of Swords. What she did, I don't know if she put a dress or she added some fabric or something, and so I think that the issue is not that some people are thin. There are lots of young, thin, beautiful women out there. I have no issue with that. It's that they all are thin. There's no diversity in the deck, and that's what I would like to see. And so I believe Kasha put clothes and made fuller figures on some of the women. And I don't think that's the case with the men. We have some very, this is quite an interesting Knight of Swords. But anyway, I'm gonna go back and look and see if there are runes on other cards as well too, because that is something that I want to study, and I don't know how accurately that they are used. And so one deck that I will probably pick up in the not too distant future is Kristen Pantel's Rune Oracle deck, because this is an energy I want to understand. I have a couple of oracles. There's a tree oracle. The oghams, of course, are built into a lot of the Celtic decks, and I don't want to write this is different language. um, but familiar. They're like familiar languages from different parts of the planet, different times. So this is something that intrigues me. So that's why I would buy a deck, is because there's something new to learn, something new to explore. So I want to thank you for hanging out here today, and thanks for your patience. I'll get the links below if these decks are unfamiliar to you, and I will be back uh, soon with the mass market version of the Lenormand. Thank you. Namaste.